Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Christian. Welcome to SAP Inside Track Oslo from me as well. I'm super excited to be here. I shouldn't be standing here, which I'll explain shortly, but I am. So you've got me, you're stuck with me. We've got 20 minutes, and really what I want to do in this next 20 minutes, apart from introduce myself and tell you a little bit about me, is maybe set us off on the right track. See what I did there? And just think about how, us in the SAP ecosphere, in the community, and, in fact, I was talking to, sorry, I forgot your name again, Rubina, this morning about people wanting to get into the SAP community, just to show a little bit of how really the community is composed of lots of different individuals with different interests, different ideas, different approaches, and really how you as an individual can ramp yourself up and level up just by doing the things that you enjoy, sharing those things, and then thereby growing. So the title of this talk, and I've got this thing here just to remind myself of what I'm supposed to be talking about. That's a trick. The title of this talk, Learn, Share, Grow, Repeat. But actually, I decided that it looked better like that. Okay, for us programmers, how many people are programming BASIC? Fantastic. Okay, so you'll all get that. That's that's the pinnacle of my slideware at the moment. Anyway, just a bit of background about me. I started a long time ago as a hobbyist. So this was the first computer I ever used at age 11. It's a PDP-11. At school it was. So I have no formal training, and really what I want to emphasize about this whole talk and about us generally and about me in particular is that I'm doing this stuff. I'm standing in front of you right now. Why? There's no particular special reason. I don't have any classical training. Well, in fact, I do have classical training. My education was with Latin, Ancient Greek, and Sanskrit. No computer science at all. But I'm standing here talking to you today. But the thing is, I shouldn't be here today. I'm here on behalf of somebody, Craig Schmehill, who is the real keynoter, but unfortunately can't make it. So instead, I've just got a picture of him. That's him there on the right. So Craig sends his apologies, and you've drawn the short straw and got me to talk to you for the next 15 minutes or so. Anyway, there is a reason, I suppose, why I'm standing here and talking about this, and that reason is an acronym, which some of you may know. How many people don't know what that means? Oh, okay. Maybe it's just a UK thing, I don't know. But just flipping do it. Maybe the F word was slightly different what I had in mind when I wrote it down. But this is really what is at the essence of what I want to talk to you about. And at the essence of what has motivated me starting hacking around with computers in the 80s, in the early 80s, and I'm still hacking around with computers now. And still, having fun and, enjoying it. This is so random, I know. That dog is looking in a guy's ear. That's really surreal. So, not that I go to many cocktail parties, but when I do, people come up to me and say, what do you do, blah, 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 blah. And, if I want to, if I don't want to talk, I'll just say I'm a programmer, and they go away immediately. But if I do want to sort of tell the truth, there's one thing that I say. But before I tell you what it is that I really do, I want to ask you folks, shout out. If somebody said to you, what do you do? What would it be? I'm going to pick on Paul because I know Paul.
I tend to say I'm a programmer, and they go away.
Anybody else?
Change the world.
Change the world. That's really cool. Okay. That's a lot better than mine. Anybody else? Ronnie, what do you do?
I usually just say I create stuff.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm a builder. Hey, Neil, welcome. In fact, I'll pick on you now because you've just come in the room. If you were at a cocktail party and somebody said, what do you do, work-wise, what would your answer be?
What am I doing?
What do you do? In your SAP work.
Okay. I'm
This is really unfair, I know. Sorry.
more than 30 years working as an SAP consultant.
Consultant. Perfect. Thank you. That's good. Sorry to throw that on you, Neil, but anyway. What I say, and it's the truth, and it's what I've been doing for 30 odd years, I learn. Okay? That's all I do. Well, I learn, then I share that learning, I learn, and then I teach, and I thereby grow by teaching, and grow by learning, and then I start all over again and repeat. So I just want to talk a little bit about some of the things that I've done from a learning perspective, from a teaching perspective, from a growing perspective, just to show you that, you know, I'm just this normal person, you know. I've got a mic on, I'm in front of you right now, but there's no reason why you shouldn't be up here either. You know, there's nothing special about me, absolutely at all. So when I started, after university, after getting my degree in ancient Greek, Sanskrit, philology, I went to work for OSLO as a mainframe programmer, obviously. And one of the things that I really enjoyed was looking at the output of the overnight batch job schedules. This is, of course, mainframe era. And trying to figure out what this completely cryptic, I mean, this is the best I could find on the interwebs, but, you know, a completely cryptic set of output was. So I dug in and I dug in and I dug in. Nobody was asking me to do this, it was just curiosity. The end result was that I, by accident, became the expert on the overnight schedule. I was invited to the morning meeting, which was where we discussed everything that went on, because the overnight schedule in those days, in the mid to late 80s, was a super important part of an organization's data processing. And the result of that was that I was picked for this huge project that was about to start, which happened to be the SAP R2 implementation project at OSLO. By just digging in and satisfying my own curiosity about something that really I wasn't being asked to do, but I was just super curious about, I stepped up, I grew, and I got the chance to grow into a project that still has me hacking around with the same sort of software today. A few years later, bless you, a few years later, I went to work, doing SAP work in Germany at German Telekom, where we had a huge number of SAP systems, and there were people walking around there that knew more than I could ever imagine knowing. There was one particular guy called Heinrich Tomaszek, who drove a car with double glazing, a huge Mercedes-Benz car, and he knew everything, absolutely everything. And I worshipped the ground he walked on. And I was super passionate about, you know, how can I be more like this person? So I said to him one day, I plucked up the courage to ask him, how do you know all this stuff? And do you know the answer he gave me? I read. It's like, that's it. And he read stuff like this. He read manuals, cover to cover. And of course, in those days, everything was proprietary. Right? IBM, you know, wall-to-wall IBM mainframe. It was wonderful. It was proprietary, but it was wonderful. The best documentation you could ever wish for, even today. So it was all there for the taking. So I took it. I devoured everything I could. And I leveled up. So again, this is satisfying my own curiosity, following my own path. But then what that meant was I needed at some stage an outlet to share that information, because you can only keep so much to yourself before you need to tell other people, right? And that need to tell other people, you know, this event right now is a perfect example of individuals telling other individuals about stuff they've learned. This is fantastic. So kudos to these two guys for organizing this. So my need to tell other people about stuff that I'd learnt was satisfied by, this was in 1995, me setting up a mailing list. Anybody remember mailing lists before the web, really? Or just at the outset of the web? And there was a mailing list that I set up called Merlin, and there was another mailing list about the same time over in Canada called SAP R3 List, where we discussed and shared information, and thereby also grew in our own knowledge, grew in our, sphere of influence and being influenced by other people. It was fantastic. A completely grassroots sharing community. Those two lists eventually merged to become SAP R3L, which in some circles is still known, still loved maybe, or hated in equal parts, I don't know. And that became the genesis of what we know today as the SAP community. So I got the chance because, and this was the reason that, I forgot, the reason this laptop is in the picture is because this is the very laptop, not the actual one, but the laptop that I used. It was so old, it had an LCD screen, no graphics. And I was in a bedroom in Aberdeen, because I was working at Total Oil Marine. Every evening I was administering this list. That gave me the opportunity to work with SAP and O'Reilly Media, the publisher. They said, DJ, would you help create the SAP developer network that we're putting together? So again, purely because I was doing stuff, sharing stuff, learning stuff, and trying to find an outlet for things I was learning, things I was interested in, I got the opportunity to basically become a founder or co-founder of what we know as the SAP community today, which is fantastic. But it's just me, there's nothing special about. Then I discovered, not camels, but Perl. I discovered open source. I discovered the wonderful world of scripting languages. I was doing SAP stuff. I was a contractor. I was working for what's now called Accenture, Anderson Consulting at the time, and other organizations. But I had this pull towards stuff that was completely outside of the SAP technical ecosphere at the time. But I followed that passion anyway. That led to me writing books for O'Reilly, books for SAP Press, and it also led to me discovering this huge, amazing, fantastic world. Again, nothing to do with SAP technology, but actually everything to do with SAP technology, because the more that we learn and the more that SAP moves through the decades, the more SAP has been turning itself inside out, becoming less and less proprietary, embracing more and more open source, more open standards. So in fact, the irony of this is that for whatever reason, I can't even think now, for whatever reason, I got this amazing urge to learn everything there was about the resource description framework, which, how many people have heard of RDF? Exactly, okay. Oh, I am not worthy. I better not say anything about it then. But that's sort of the point, right? I didn't know, or rather, I didn't care about whether it was relevant to my, my everyday job. I just fell in love with it. And it turned out, purely by, well, maybe by chance, I don't know, it turned out that RDF, as any fool know, is at the root of what we know and love today as the #1 API format in the SAP world, which is OData. RDF was used as RSS. RSS was a flavor of RDF, or an application of RDF. Atom and the Atom Publishing Protocol was based upon RSS, and OData is based upon Atom and the Atom Publishing Protocol. So initially by chance, but really, because I didn't really care, I became immediately au fait with the new world of APIs. And sharing that stuff as well brought me to, in fact, I managed to share it internally at SAP back in 2012. And that got me talking to various people in the UI5 world. And that gave me the chance, because of the sharing and because of the knowledge and because of the stuff I was writing about all the way through this. I'm just writing random stuff, sharing it on the interwebs. So people connect with me about OData, people connected with me about the stuff I was writing about, and I was approached to say, would you like to come and work on the UI5 team? How many people have seen Ghostbusters? How many people remember the phrase, and I'll never forget this, because I thought this at the time, if somebody asks if you are a god, you say yes. If somebody asks if you want to work on the UI5 team, you say yes, and then figure out how the hell you're going to actually survive. So I did. And with all this stuff that's, you know, I've been learning and sharing, writing about, talking about, I just want to emphasize that I'm just this idiot from Manchester. I do a lot of talking, but most of the time that's what I'm thinking. This is no false modesty, right? Right now, I've no idea how much time I've used. I don't even know what the next slide is. But I know that Ronnie will keep me honest on the time. Was that like 2 minutes? Exactly. Another way of sharing is by sharing your code. I don't think anybody needs an explanation. Oh God, that's a big. I didn't realise that was so big on the slide there. That's scary. Needs an explanation of why, if you can, why it's so important to share what you're doing. You know, this SAP UI5 bin repository. Okay, it's not, you know, in the grand scheme of things on GitHub, it's not huge at all, but it's got a lot of stars. It's got a lot of people following that stuff, and that's purely because I'm trying to work out this thing here. I'm trying to answer questions on Stack Overflow to force myself to learn more, but also so I can, and in order to be able to answer these questions, I need to reproduce the person's scenario so I can actually figure out what's going on and answer it. Okay, so I'm forcing myself to go through this thing, and doing that causes me to write code, so I might as well share it. One of my all-time heroes, I've got many, is Eric Meyer, and he says a lot. He says, if you